You've lived this scene before. You're standing inches away from someone you've met 3, maybe 4 times. You're smiling, nodding, and looking them in the eye while internally a frantic search party is scouring your brain for a single word, their name. It isn't just foggy, it's gone. It's a clean vacancy, as if that specific file was never even created. Then comes the silent theater. You pivot your body, you scan the room for a mutual friend, you pray for a sudden distraction, anything to avoid the social debt of admitting you've drawn a blank. We've all been there, but for the chronic name forgetters, this isn't about being careless or rude. It's not a lack of intelligence, though we often let ourselves believe it is. There's a fascinating, specific mechanical process happening in your prefrontal cortex. Once you see the blueprints, the guilt finally starts to dissolve. The moment you meet a stranger, your brain isn't just listening, it's performing a high-wire act of social survival. It's analyzing facial microexpressions, decoding vocal pitch, and calculating social hierarchy. You're simultaneously wondering if you have food in your teeth and planning your next sentence. Your working memory is effectively a small table trying to hold a dozen heavy objects at once. And right in the middle of this cognitive hurricane, someone hands you a single, rootless sound. Hi, I'm Kevin. To your brain, Kevin is semantically empty. It doesn't trigger a vivid image, a survival instinct, or a deep-rooted association. It's just an isolated data point sitting in a brain that is far too busy trying to keep the conversation alive to babysit a random syllable. Psychologists have a specific term for this struggle. In 1987, researchers McWeeny, Young, Hay, and Ellis published a landmark study on the Baker-Baker paradox. They split participants into 2 groups. They showed both groups the same photo of a man. They told Group A his job was a baker. They told Group B his last name was Baker. When tested days later, the profession group remembered the word far better than the name group. Why? Because the word baker is a sticky concept. It triggers mental images of warm bread, flour, and early mornings. It has a semantic web to hold on to. But baker as a surname is just a label. It floats in the mind, rootless and unattached. Your brain, being an efficiency machine, ruthlessly discards things that don't seem to mean anything. Think of it like attending a funeral. Years later, you'll remember the specific heavy silence of the room. You'll remember the scent of the lilies and the way someone's voice cracked during the eulogy, but you almost certainly won't remember the font on the printed order of service. Names are the order of service. Everything else about a person is the funeral. Your brain prioritizes the texture of the experience over the technical labels. For many, this isn't just a memory quirk. It's a byproduct of social hyper-awareness. While the other person is speaking, you aren't just listening. You're internally narrating. Is my eye contact too intense? Did I just blink enough? What if I say something stupid? This is the next in-line effect, first identified in 1973 by psychologist Malcolm Brenner. He found that when people are in a group waiting to speak, their memory of the person who spoke right before them is almost non-existent. You aren't forgetting because you don't care. You're forgetting because you're pre-processing. Your brain has already moved half a step into the future to ensure the social interaction goes smoothly. If this sounds like you, remember, you don't have a memory deficit. You have a preoccupation priority. There is a hidden strength here. People who struggle with names are often highly associative thinkers. Their memory is built on context, stories, and emotional resonance. They might remember the exact emotion you shared 3 years ago, or the specific way you looked when you talked about your passions, yet still blank on your name today. This isn't a flaw, it's an architecture. Your brain is better suited for emotional attunement and deep storytelling than for the mechanical task of filing arbitrary labels under pressure. You can get better at this by manually building bridges, repeating the name immediately, or tying it to a vivid visual image. But the shame, that has to go. You aren't dismissive. You are someone whose brain prioritizes the human substance over the parental tag. The name was always the least interesting thing about them. What you do remember, the real stuff, the resonance of who they are, that's what actually matters. And that has been there the whole time.